You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Well, good morning to you, and welcome into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Weimer, and thanks for joining us on this Tuesday morning, live on Fox Local and on YouTube. We have a busy day ahead, a lot of live events, not just in this 11 o'clock hour, but throughout the afternoon as well. So I want to let you know some of what you can expect this afternoon, this morning and this afternoon, here on Fox Local. We are expecting to hear from Governor Ron DeSantis any minute now, set to speak in Panama City. In fact, let me give you a live look right now inside the Bay County Sheriff's Office, where he is expected to speak about law enforcement bonuses. You see on the monitors behind him. So that's the news conference scheduled for 11 o'clock Eastern. So any minute now, we do expect to hear from the governor, and we will take you there when it begins. At 11:30, we are set to hear from the new ownership group of the Tampa Bay Rays, just officially taken over last week after the sale went final. Stu Sternberg era over, and the Patrick Zalewski era is now getting underway. It's going to be interesting to hear what they have to say about the ongoing stadium negotiations, what ends up happening with that, where the Rays end up playing in the future, also what their priorities will be, what their philosophy is when it comes to payroll, possibly signing some of the young stars on the team. We will see what comes from that coming up around 11:30. At 11:45, CFO Blaise Ingoglia is set to speak in Seminole County. This is the latest stop on his local government spending tour, his DOGE audit tour, all across the state of Florida. We've seen him travel to a number of places and talk about what he has found just from an initial dive into the numbers of a number of local governments as the push to eliminate property taxes continues. One interesting thing about this is that the Seminole County did just recently vote to increase property taxes for the first time in 16 years. And I'll give you a live look right now at Inter & Co Stadium, the home of the Orlando City and Orlando Pride soccer teams, and soon the home of the Orlando Storm. That's right, a new UFL team, United Football League team, coming to Orlando. Going to be playing their home games at Inter & Co, and that announcement is scheduled for 12:30. Fox 35's Ryan Elijah is emceeing that event. We will bring that to you live right here on Fox Local when it begins. Also, a couple national stories we are tracking right now. Obviously, the government shutdown continuing. This is day 7 of that. And I can also give you a live look inside the Senate Judiciary Committee where Pam Bondi, the U.S. Attorney General, is testifying right now about the Department of Justice. This is an oversight hearing conducted by the Senate Judiciary Committee. And we will likely listen in on that coming up in just a few minutes as well. That is expected to continue throughout the morning. But I do want to briefly at least set up here as we wait to hear from the CFO Blaise Ingoglia speaking in Seminole County. Fox 35's Amanda McKenzie has more on what we can expect to hear when he begins speaking in about half an hour from now.
Good morning. Yes, well, we are expecting more conversations to do with how wasteful spending could be involved in Seminole County. This would be just the latest municipality in Central Florida that the CFO and the DOGE team have centered in on. They've already gone through the city of Orlando and Orange County. And just yesterday, the mayor of Orlando, Buddy Dyer, addressed those findings by the DOGE team and defended the city's approval to pay $6,000 a year for a poet laureate. And the CFO also accused Orlando of spending $70,000 a year on hot yoga classes for employees and $150,000 to provide legal assistance to undocumented immigrants. Mayor Dyer responded saying the funds spent on legal assistance helps people pursue citizenship lawfully, and the yoga classes are part of its employee wellness program. But looking ahead to today's news conference in Seminole County, it may be the next municipality to have its finances examined. Just last week, the Seminole County clerk and comptroller pleaded with county commissioners for more money in the budget cycle. But when commissioners addressed the need for more money, they questioned why the clerk's office had set bonuses for employees, which have been labeled as other payments.
Those type of payments could be PTO buyback, could be retention, but that's about it.
We can identify no other employee in the county that receives some kind of bonus compensation as part of their pay.
Seminole County Commission Chairman Jay Zembauer says given the county's budget constraints, not even sheriff's deputies get regular bonus pay. The comptroller and county commission have been at odds over funding for his office for more than a year. The funding dispute is even the subject of a lawsuit, which means the county is also spending taxpayer dollars on legal defense. Now, we can't confirm if today's news conference will address that pending lawsuit or those funding disputes, but we can tell you that Seminole County recently voted to increase property taxes for the first time in 16 years to address a budget shortfall of $35 million, which may have garnered the attention of the state right now, since lawmakers are currently discussing ways to reduce or eliminate state property taxes entirely. That news conference with the CFO is scheduled for 11:45 this morning. You can watch that news conference live on Fox Local. Reporting live in Seminole County, Amanda McKenzie, Fox 35 News.
Fox 35 Storm Team meteorologist Brooks Garner joins me now. And Brooks,
Yes.
We're now seeing some advisories for Tropical Storm Jerry.
That's right. So we've got a system way out in the Atlantic. It's no threat to Florida at this time, and it does look like it's going to curve out to sea. But here we are with another future hurricane, and it does look like it's going to become a hurricane. First off, though, let's look outside right now, because our own Daytona Beach looks like a tropical storm's happening. Onshore winds blowing about 30 miles an hour right now, and a lot of wave action. The reason there's very little beach is because we're experiencing what's called a king tide. That is a high tide that is even higher due to astronomical elements, the alignment of the sun and the moon, and some gravitational effects making the water go even higher than it normally would. This is all common. It happens this time of the year, and it's very common that you see the beach featuring very little, if any, sand. But with a relentless onshore flow, there's been even less sand, and unfortunately some erosion has been occurring, especially in areas where they've recently nourished the beach. A lot of the beach nourishment efforts include sand that's dredged from offshore, pumped onshore, and it can be a coarser sand, and that's a lot easier to erode than the finer sand that naturally occurs on beaches. Winds gusting between 25 and 30 miles an hour. There are high surf advisories. This is not related to Tropical Storm Jerry. It's just the flow, but it's a flow that will influence our weather here for at least the next week or so. And we're also catching an onshore flow featuring some rain, but the best chance for rain today, as we're seeing a few showers, hit or miss, will be before 3 p.m. After 3 o'clock, the showers move out and we'll have dry air moving in. And you can see that in our future clouds and radar. We'll have a flow from the east-southeast, a couple of showers, most of the action Orlando points south. And then as we get into the evening, things clear out, which is good because it's the national night out for a lot of cities and towns celebrating that with a lot of activities going around. And as far as the muggy weather, it's literally going to be forced out. This is a look at what are called precipitable water values. And it's a way to judge the total atmospheric moisture from the top of the sky all the way to the ground to make a determination about how heavy rain could be when it falls. And when you see this dry green and blue moving in, that means there's very little, if any, moisture to work with. All right, in the tropics, Southwest Gulf, we've got an area to watch. This is in our backyard, and oftentimes it's the case in October. If you get development, it can impact Florida. But the good news with this system is that not only does it have just a slight chance to develop, it's likely to drift west into Mexico. So maybe bringing some periods of heavy rain to Veracruz or Tampico. No threat to us at this time. This is Tropical Storm Jerry. Jerry expected to become a hurricane as it curves to the northwest, and the spaghetti models are a little bit farther west as of late morning than they were earlier, and that may indicate that we have impacts heading for the Leeward Islands. We're looking at the Antigua, Barbuda area, Anguilla, Guadalupe, possibly catching effects from this late this week into the weekend. Mostly heavy rain and wave action. They'd be on the clean side of the system, but still at this point it could become a hurricane, and that could bring some really gusty conditions to the British and U.S. Virgin Islands, as well as the northern Leeward Islands. From there, it curves out to sea, but may brush Bermuda. So while it's going to miss the U.S., it could have impacts on other areas of land scattered throughout the ocean. Intensities could bring this to hurricane force. That's the official computer model determination. We'll see at least a minimal hurricane, it looks like, out of this thing. Some models go bonkers all the way up to a Cat 4. All right, let's talk about a whole new system. We've got a really nice evening on tap and a beautiful day tomorrow. But as this dry air works into our region for a really nice middle of the week, we've got a nor'easter that's set to form. Now, a nor'easter is a non-tropical area of low pressure. It can form in Florida, it can form off the U.S. East Coast. In this case, it's going to kind of form off of Florida and then move up to the Carolinas. Now, it's possible this becomes a subtropical storm, maybe even gets a name. The next name would be Karen. Either way, there's going to be big Outer Banks erosion issues that will be similar to that of what we saw earlier last week and this weekend with the passage of Imelda and Umberto that brought down something like 9 homes in the town of Buxton, North Carolina. According to the Buxton, North Carolina website, there are 40 homes teetering right now, 40 of them. And so this could be the straw that broke the camel's back on at least a few of them. Hopefully not, but I mean, it's an incredible situation to see the impact of the shifting sand on those Outer Banks. Now, one benefit this will have is it's going to force fall air into our region. That means it's going to feel like autumn, it looks like, especially Sunday into Monday of next week. But it could be a little bit on the cloudy side. We'll have highs, generally speaking, in the lower to middle 80s with noticeably lower humidity levels. Well, the future of that thing is yet to be determined, but it looks like it will form, and then where it goes, we'll see. The problem with North Carolina with this one is that there's a blocking area of high pressure in New England, so it's really not going to move very quickly. And sometimes with these nor'easters, they can sit out there for days, and you get this unrelenting northeast flow causing incredible erosion, and that's why there's going to be all eyes on the Outer Banks for that potential. Now, as far as our muggy weather, it will get muggier late this week because as that nor'easter forms, it's going to force rain into the region for Thursday and especially Friday. But then as that nor'easter forms, it's going to drag a fall air mass straight down from Quebec and Ontario all the way to Florida. It's not going to be jacket weather, but we will, for the first time in a long time, have 60s at night, widespread for lows, noticeably lower humidity, high temperatures in the lower to middle 80s. So here's the 7-day forecast, and this may change a little bit as far as the weekend rain chances go, but it looks overall pretty nice. A couple of showers possible on Saturday as that coastal low continues to move by, but it looks like it'll clear out and dry out Sunday and especially on Monday. So after a break from the rain for the next couple of days, we're back to the storms on Friday, Garrett. And then we have that fall weather to look forward to. So very active out there.
Yeah, a lot to talk about. You say it's not jacket weather, but you say 60 degrees. And
yeah.
I think some people are saying, okay, that's jacket weather.
By Florida standards, you're absolutely right. At least a sweatshirt.
Yeah, that's
okay, true. Parkas, the hat, the whole thing. We're going to see the ladies have the boots with the fur. It'll be the whole thing. You're right.
Fox 35 Storm Team meteorologist Brooks Garner, we appreciate you joining us.
My pleasure. Thanks, Garrett.
Still waiting on Governor DeSantis to speak in Bay County and Panama City. Also want to give you a live look in the Volusia County Council meeting. They are going through some the consent agenda right now. A little bit later, they're going to be discussing and hearing some information about potentially expanding to, and adding a second dog beach location in Daytona Beach. So we'll be monitoring for that throughout the day as well. We're going to take a quick break here on Fox 35 News Plus, but we'll be right back after this.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I want to give you a live look where we are waiting to hear from the new owners of the Tampa Bay Rays. You see, we just saw in attendance Tampa Mayor Jane Castor. We know St. Pete Mayor Ken Welch is also there, seated on the front row. They walked in a couple of minutes ago and were speaking with each other. We know that there will be, I'm sure, a lot of interest from those local leaders there in the Bay Area to hear what the Rays owners have to say, especially because of questions over the location of a new stadium, because the time at the Trop will be coming to an end. So we'll try to take you live to that news conference. We are also following up on that throughout the day, even if we can't get you into that live, but we will do our best to get you to that news conference when it begins in about 15 minutes or so. We are still waiting to hear from Governor Ron DeSantis, expected to speak any minute now inside the Bay County Sheriff's Office in Panama City, where he is supposed to talk about law enforcement bonuses. We will take you to that, assuming that begins in the next few minutes. But I want to get you now inside the Senate Judiciary Committee. This is Josh Hawley, a Republican senator from Missouri, who is speaking right now, asking some questions of Attorney General Pam Bondi about the DOJ during this Senate Judiciary Oversight hearing of the Department of Justice. Let's go ahead and listen in here for a few minutes as this hearing continues.
Goes after members of this body. You know, the thing about it, though, that really strikes me is that it didn't stop with members of the United States Senate. Did it, Attorney General Bondi? It didn't stop here at all. I mean, just as egregious, maybe more so than tapping the phones of U.S. senators, is this memo that I know you've seen before. Let's just look at it again. This is an FBI memo from the same time period, I might add, from the same time period, in which the Federal Bureau of Investigation attempts to recruit informants into Catholic parishes in this country. So here you have an administration that is activating the FBI against its political opponents and tapping the phones of United States senators. Can I just say that again for my colleagues, for the benefit of my colleagues on the other side of the dais? Tapping the phones of United States senators. This isn't hypothetical. This isn't maybe what will you do in the future. This isn't, oh, gee, can you imagine a situation? This happened. This happened. And this happened, the targeting of Catholics in this country because Joe Biden and his FBI didn't like Catholics who went to a certain kind of mass. I mean, good God in heaven, what is happening to this country? What happened under Joe Biden? Or then how about this, the infamous school board memo, where Merrick Garland, at the direction of the...
Josh Hawley talking about the DOJ under the Biden administration right now. Meanwhile, let me get you to Bay County, where Governor Ron DeSantis just walked out. Let's go ahead and listen in.
For hosting us here. Also want to recognize we got a star-studded cast here with us today, including the U.S. Congressman Neil Dunn. He's actually my congressman, is living in Tallahassee. So, we've also got our state attorney, Larry Bassford, obviously Tommy Ford I had mentioned. We've got Gulf County Sheriff Mike Harrison, Jackson County Sheriff Donnie Edenfield, Holmes County Sheriff John Tate, Washington County Sheriff Kevin Cruz, Liberty County Sheriff Dusty Arnold, Walton County Sheriff Mike Atkinson, as well as other law enforcement leaders from across Northwest Florida. So on some of these counties, you know, we have a number of counties in North Florida that are named after various founding fathers. And as part of America, so America 250 is next July. So we've already begun doing things for this. So I was recently in Franklin County. We brought a statue to Ben Franklin. We put that there. We were in Jefferson County. We brought Thomas Jefferson, nice statue there right on the courthouse steps. Washington, we actually got this amazing statue of Washington from Mount Vernon. They loaned us it, and so we put it in the Florida Capitol. So if you actually walk up and you make a left, like you're going to go to the governor's office or the attorney general's office, you see this amazing statue of Washington, and we've actually gotten approval to have one of those recreated as well. So my hope is that we'll be able to drop G-Dub in Washington County at some point. Actually, Washington County would welcome that. You know, there's other counties in Florida, they a little bit different views on some of this stuff. Not for the better, but it is what it is. So we're going to do that. And then we have a Hamilton County, which obviously is further east than here in North Florida. But, you know, I think it was like some of these other states had mothballed these statutes. We're like buying these statutes at a discount. And I guess like when the Hamilton was being transferred, I think it was a little bit too hot in the truck, and so we had a little bit of issues that we're remedying there, but we're going to be able to roll out Alexander Hamilton. We're also going to be able to roll out James Madison, and then we've got, you know, down in our southernmost county, Monroe County, you know, with Key West and Key Largo and all that, we're going to have a Monroe statute that we're going to be bringing down there. So I just think it's important that particularly young people are able to learn about what went into the founding of this country, what are the principles that our founding fathers fought for, how is this reflected in our founding documents, whether it's the Declaration or the Constitution, which they were able to enact the following decade. You know, these things are really, really important, and it gives us an opportunity to be able to do that. So we're definitely going to do more on that. And certainly with Washington County, we're going to work on getting that statute, and we do have some time to be able to get it done. You know, we're also going to be doing even more to kind of get kids involved with this, so we'll have some announcements about some of the things we're going to be doing over the next 9 months or so to be able to really lean in to this great celebration. We're here today to mark another milestone in the state of Florida's support for the men and women of law enforcement. And yes, we've said from the beginning, we're a law and order state. When they were doing rioting across the country, we said that ain't flying here in Florida. When they were protesting against law enforcement and attacking law enforcement, and these politicians were doing that big charade years ago, you didn't see that here out of our office, certainly in Tallahassee. And we were very clear that we honor the people that are there, that are protecting and serving the public. And which is fine, and you know, sometimes you got to stand up and speak truth, and you got to say the right thing at the right time. And I'm not saying that doesn't matter, but what's even more important than just the words are the deeds. And are you following through on the commitment to making sure that our communities are safe and that you have a strong culture of law and order? And I always say, the folks that Florida's crime rate's at a 50-year low, I always say that, you know, you can't obviously do that without the folks who are actually in uniform making it happen. And, you know, we can sit there and talk all we want, but the reality is there are people that are there that deserve the credit. But at the same time, you know, you could have the best sheriff's department, you could have the best police department, you could have the best deputies, the best police officers. If you have jailbreak policies, if you have weak on crime policies, no cash bail, letting people steal $999 like California, releasing felons. If you're doing that, I don't care how good you are at your job, you're going to be overwhelmed with the bad policies. So it really goes hand in hand. You got to have strong policies at the state level, and then you got to have good people that are there implementing those policies and making sure that they're keeping their community safe. And I mean, if you look at what we've done, we not only did we not indulge the nonsense when they were doing defund police and attacking police, we did legislation banning the defunding of police. Because the way I viewed it is like, you know, we've got a big state, you know, 67 counties, all these municipalities. You know, you could have one municipality elect 3 bozos to some city council that want to do something stupid. And, you know, we're not going to let them cut off their nose to spite their face simply because the residents would end up having to deal with the consequences of that. So we have ways to make sure that that funding continues. We also made sure that if you are engaging in any type of mob violence, looting, rioting, any of those things, do not expect to be treated like they treat you in Portland. Well, they'll slap you on the wrist, put you back on the street, let you do it again. No, in the state of Florida, if you're rioting, if you're looting, if you're engaging in mob violence, you're going to jail, and we're going to hold you accountable, and that's what you have to do. We're also concerned with harassing law enforcement as well as first responders that are in the middle of doing their jobs, especially when they're responding to a scene, if somebody is in distress. And so we made sure that we had the appropriate response to that type of harassment. You know, unfortunately, with some of the rhetoric you've seen over the years, and quite frankly, media amplifying that, they've put a target on the back of law enforcement in many parts of this country. I don't think it's been successful here because we've responded in kind, but the reality is, you know, we have to be on guard about that. And even like intentionally exposing law enforcement to things like fentanyl. You know, if you just get this fentanyl residue on you, I mean, that's a major, major risk just then and there. So we actually were one of the first states to do anything about any of that. We were able to, in the most recent budget, get major pay increases for our state law enforcement officers, particularly our highway patrol, as well as the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, and that's increase in base pay and a 15% increase for veteran LEOs. And that's meaningful, especially when you have a period in this country. I mean, I just think back 5 or 6 years ago how much things cost versus now how much things cost. I mean, the reality is it's just tougher to do that. I mean, I'm taking my kids. I've got 3 kids in elementary school, taking them through drive-through. And it's like, get them something and like maybe a little thing for like my wife. And like all of a sudden, you know, it isn't like $20 anymore, $25. It's like twice that much. And that's just one example. You see it in everything you do now. So we want to make sure that we're able to, one, reward folks for good work, but also just recognize that that it's hard to keep up with everything that's happened. And we've done a lot of other things in that regard too, tax relief, a whole bunch of other stuff, and we're going to do, you know, property tax relief, all these things that are very important, you know, to help people make the most of their own lives. One of the things that we wanted to do, though, is make sure that in Florida people understood that if you choose the vocation of law enforcement, that that is something that's a noble calling. It's something that we want to make sure that you will have support if you do that. And some of this stuff is just, we now have these exchanges with schools where kids will be able to meet people in the local sheriff's department. You go to a place like Tampa, some of these neighborhoods, they're told to not like law enforcement. They're told
Governor Ron DeSantis speaking right now in the Bay County Sheriff's Office, expected to talk more about law enforcement bonuses. Been talking a lot about this, a number of different issues when it comes to law and order and also affordability here in Florida, kind of all tied together there. We are going to take a quick break here on Fox 35 News Plus. We'll get you back inside one of these news conferences on the other side of this break. So keep it right here on Fox Local and on YouTube on this busy Tuesday morning. We'll be right back.
watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. Give you a live look as the new ownership group of the Tampa Bay Rays just walked into the room, shook some hands, walked up to the podium. Expect them to hear from them speak now as they are introduced. Let's go ahead and listen in.
Get around the room twice. After we are finished, please remain seated. We will have a photo op, and then we will immediately be on our way to St. Petersburg to meet with staff. So we will set up any future one-on-ones after that. Patrick?
Great. Thank you, Rosie. Good morning. On behalf of myself, Ken Babby, Bill Cosgrove, thank you all for being here. Today is an incredibly exciting day for us personally, for our families, for our partners, and I hope for the entire Tampa Bay community. We are honored and feel privileged to be the new owners of the Tampa Bay Rays. This moment is not just about ownership, it's about stewardship. We recognize the deep responsibility we now carry to deliver a championship caliber team on the field and a world-class experience for our fans. That's a commitment we make with humility, with pride, and with great anticipation. I want to extend my heartfelt thanks to Commissioner Rob Manfred and to the other team owners for their support and encouragement throughout this journey. And I especially want to thank Stu Sternberg for building a franchise that is known for its innovation and success, and for trusting our group to carry that legacy forward. Stu, your leadership has laid a foundation that we are proud to build upon. I'm also deeply grateful that so many of our partners are here with us today to celebrate. This is a shared moment with so many great people who participated in this process to get us here today. I'm especially excited to announce that Ken Babby will be leading the day-to-day business operations as the CEO of the team. Ken brings a passion for excellence and a deep respect for the culture that already exists within this organization. I'm also looking forward to working with President of Baseball Operations Eric Neander and Manager Kevin Cash, who will continue to build a championship culture. Be assured that we plan to do a lot of listening and a lot of brainstorming. We want to be methodical, and we will have purpose and vision in all we do. But it's also essential we move with a sense of urgency. It's no secret that we need a new forever home to secure the Rays' long-term future in Tampa Bay, and delivering upon that objective will be our first priority. Our goal is to have a world-class ballpark ready for opening day 2029. We acknowledge this is aggressive and perhaps audacious, but time is of the essence. The ballpark will anchor a best-in-class mixed-use development of likely at least 100 acres containing hotels, office, retail, restaurants, bars, music venue. This list...
I am sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
First time.
Yeah,
time here.
I'm so sorry. Excuse me. Paula, would you take this and shut it off for me, please? I'm so sorry. Well, I think we broke the ice, Patrick, so I'm so sorry. It said don't mess with Bill. Did you catch that?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry.
No worries.
It's a song. It's an old song, Patrick.
The ballpark will anchor a best-in-class mixed-use development of likely at least 100 acres containing hotels, office, retail, restaurants, bars, music venue. This list of criteria is effectively everything we believe to be essential to delivering a world-class live, work, play experience. We are also determined and pledged to you to build a championship caliber team, and we believe this development will generate the revenue needed for long-term sustainable success. This in turn will create jobs for our community, supporting economic growth and opportunity in this region for generations to come. To be clear, it is our first and highest priority to find that home here in Tampa Bay. We understand the history and how important it is to get it right for the fans, our employees, the entire Tampa Bay region, and Major League Baseball. We're confident that working together, we'll find the right path forward. Thank you.
So, thanks, Rosie. Before I start my comments, Ken, would you please make sure your phone is shut off? I apologize for that. Good morning, everybody. My name is Bill Cosgrove. We are, on behalf of my family, we are really excited and honored to be part of the Tampa Bay Rays. You know, I've had my entire life a love of the game of baseball. And, you know, sitting here, you never really expect to get here. So you have to mention your hometown. And mine is Bedford, Ohio. And, you know, the Sandlots of Bedford and all my friends have been calling me. And it's really, really exciting. My career, you know, Cassie, my career peaked at the age of 14 when a kid named Frankie threw me a curveball, of which I'd never seen before. And after that, it was kind of all over. But my passion for the game has remained ever since. Also, as a family, our passion for Tampa Bay, our love affair has grown. 15 years ago, we built a house about an hour south of here on the Gulf Coast. And we just love the region. Union Home Mortgage, our company, has a relationship with the Tampa Bay Sports Authority and the Union Home Mortgage Gasparilla Bowl that we've been part of for the last 5 or 6 years. Feeding Tampa Bay as well, that group. So we've really just, you know, given our heart to the area, and especially now with the Tampa Bay Rays, we're looking forward to doing more of that. I've got to say for a second, before I turn it over to Ken, over the past months, I've gotten an opportunity to know many, many people of the Tampa Bay Rays organization, you know, from Stu and Matt and Brian and Eric, and just meeting Kevin on down, Rossi, everybody, Mel. The organization is wonderful. The culture is wonderful. The people are just world class. And we're excited really to be a part of it. We understand that, you know, it's all about winning, you know, on the field, winning in the community, and that's what we intend to do.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Patrick. Good morning. Today is the realization of a lifelong dream. Baseball has always been an integral part of my life since as far back as I can remember. My father served as general counsel of the Baltimore Orioles, and as a kid, I spent countless hours watching them build Camden Yards, watching, learning, and falling in love with the game. I was fortunate to have a front row seat to watch the way a ballpark in a development can change a community. In March every year, we'd come down to St. Petersburg, and I even had the opportunity to serve as a bat boy for the Orioles at Al Lang Stadium, where I had the chance to go back this past Saturday night and watch the Rowdies win 4-0, our first game in owning the team. It was fun to be back there. Baseball and sports, and in general, have a wonderful way of bringing community together, truly like nothing else. My journey as a team owner started in Akron, where I had a chance to meet Bill and our ownership of the Akron Rubber Ducks, and then on to AAA in Jacksonville, where I met Patrick, and our work began together. It's really unbelievable being in this room today. It's humbling, and it's deeply personal to me and my family and all of our families. So many people have helped us along this journey. From the beginning, our focus has always been to make baseball a fun and unforgettable experience, accessible, affordable, creating lifelong memories for families, for friends, to take moments away from life's busy paces. Baseball provides the perfect platform in life to do that. It's exactly why we're here. We will create a world-class fan experience here in Tampa Bay for our fans, and we will do it one at a time in incredibly unique ways. On the field, as Patrick and Bill have both mentioned, we're committed to continuing the great work that Eric and Kevin and the team are doing to be a championship culture on the field. And we're going to continue to support them, and we can't wait to work together to realize all of our dreams together and bring that championship back here to Tampa Bay. I look forward to supporting them and the organization, and the reality is the foundation of what Matt and Stu and Brian and the work that's been done here for decades, the foundation is strong. We're here to help add value where we can. The same is said on the business side of the organization. We plan to continue that same championship culture while we recognize we have incredible work ahead of us. We've brought together an incredible, special, local group of partners that we believe will help us continue to cement the right relationships to be successful. We will also seek input from public officials. Mayor Castor, Mayor Welsh, it's an honor to have you with us today. We look forward to working with you to be successful here. We have other county officials in the room. I want to thank you for your continued commitment to our work, community leaders, corporate partners, a number of folks in the room that make this machine go, and you have our commitment that we're going to do our best to do our part as well. Because at a core, baseball is more than just a baseball team that sells beer, hot dogs, and tickets. We'll do those things too. We will use the game of baseball to do good in the community, to make Tampa Bay a better place to work, live, and play. Tropicana Field is our current home, and we can't wait to get back there on April 6th next year. I want to thank the mayor and his team in St. Petersburg for the incredible work that's going on behind the scenes to get Tropicana Field, the home of the Tampa Bay Rays, ready for baseball in 2026. At the end of this week, we'll have 12 of our 24 panels on the roof. That's worth a round of applause. Everybody in the community has answered the call, and that's not a reference to Bill's phone, one at a time, each in unique ways, to be able to deliver, and we're deeply appreciative of your help. We look forward to building this reality together with our team and with our staff and with the community. We plan to do our part too at Tropicana Field, and as we get close to spring, we'll be announcing a number of fan experience changes that you can look forward to, that the ownership group will be putting back into Tropicana Field. New video boards, new sound system, of course the new roof that everybody's looking forward to. We're going to do our part to be able to stand up and celebrate coming home next spring. Finally, I'd just like to speak directly to the members of the Rays staff and family. From a business operations team to the baseball ops department, from the analytics to the ushers to everybody that goes to make this work. We're making an enormous investment in buying the Tampa Bay Rays because we believe in you. It's always about the people. We believe in the entrepreneurial, resilient way this group has come together through so much over these last few years. We believe in your culture. We believe what the previous regime has created, and we want to build to sustain it. Your resilience and strength is inspiring, and together we're going to work to build something even more incredible for Tampa Bay, capping it off with a World Series trophy. We can't wait to be here, and we can't wait to get to work. I want to thank Patrick and Bill for the trust and the investment of what we're building together, and we're ready to get going. Thank you.
Ken Babby, Tampa Bay Rays CEO. We also heard from Patrick Zalupski and Bill Cosgrove, the new ownership group of the Tampa Bay Rays. They're getting ready to take some questions. We've got to take a quick break here on Fox Local, but we'll be right back.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. Give you a live look outside the White House right now, where we await the arrival of the Canadian Prime Minister, expected to arrive, and President Trump will greet him. This is the driveway in the West Wing of the White House. We'll try to leave this picture up for you to continue to watch as he arrives here shortly. Live look right now in Seminole County. This is at Decision Tactical in Sanford, where the CFO Blaise Ingoglia should be speaking any minute now about holding government accountable, talking about wasteful spending in Seminole County. We will get you there when that begins. But right now, we are hearing from Patrick Zalupski. He is the Jacksonville developer who is leading the ownership group of the Tampa Bay Rays. Was just asked a question about stadium sites, and he's talking about that. Obviously, the first priority, as we heard him say earlier today, looking for a new forever home in Tampa Bay, he said, for opening day 2029. So let's go ahead and listen back in.
Sustainable championship team, and I think the revenue generation that can come out of this development will provide that. So timing, we're getting to work. I mean, we've got a lot to do. It's going to be challenging, but we're confident that we can be successful here in Tampa Bay.
Adam Berry, MLB.com. You've talked about the sustainable championship culture as far as the team on the field. Do you guys expect to continue what's been done as far as investing in player payroll, or could you see potentially more than that going forward?
Yeah, great question. I mean, the economics of the club have not changed since we acquired them. And so, again, you'll hear a common theme, obviously. We've got to create this development. We have to have the revenue. It's critical to our success. Continue what we've done. These guys have done an incredible job. I mean, blown away. The more I learn from Eric and Kevin, it's just, we have an incredible organization. We have a self-imposed rule that none of us and none of the partners are allowed to talk to or have any influence on the baseball operations.
Zero.
These guys are exceptional. Now, I think we can provide a lot of help on the business side, sponsorship, growing our community outreach, fan experience, and we're excited to get to work on that.
Ryan Bass, FanDuel Sports Network. Patrick, Bill, nice to meet you guys again. Good to see you. Can I have a quick question for you? Just, you mentioned fan experience. I don't know how big a part that is of kind of your aura in joining this organization from this ownership group. What have you noticed since you've been here? I know you've been here a couple weeks, taking some notes, observing. And then what do you hope to put your stamp on in terms of the fan experience back at Tropicana Field and for Rays baseball?
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. I think right now, we're just taking it all in and digesting. And I think having the roadmap to getting back to Tropicana Field in April is our goal. We're spending a lot of time as a staff thinking about how we can get in there and make that expression. I think Tropicana Field is going to look better than it has ever looked in April. The city behind the scenes is doing wonderful work. The team is doing work. We're spending a lot of time together thinking about how we can enhance that experience, because we are going to be there despite our objective of being in a new ballpark in 29. We want to be competitive and we want to be successful on the field, of course, but continuing to invest in our fans and the experience, from food options, accessibility, pricing, talked about some of the amenities, and we'll talk closer to the start of the season about some of those new initiatives. But I think right now, I think at this point we're taking it all in. There's certainly conversations to be had, but my favorite part of this has just been being able to talk with fans over the course of the last few weeks, and we'll do more of that through the winter and into the spring. We work in a business where you get a chance to ask your customer every day what we could be doing better, and that's exactly what we intend to do, and that'll be important in developing our fan plan of getting back to the Trop and also thinking about next year as well. Yeah, thanks, Ryan.
Hi, Evan Axelbank from Fox 13. Good to meet you after weeks of talking about you and writing about you. First thing I just want to ask is, you just mentioned that the economics of the club have not changed. Do you envision being able to pay for the ballpark yourselves, or will you be asking for a public subsidy? And how much will that subsidy be in relation to the previous subsidies that were asked for?
Great question. And look, these are high-profile, small community businesses. And so, I think it's critical to have a public-private partnership. We don't know, again, we just closing the team Tuesday. We're excited about that. We're excited to be here today and answer these questions, but we've got a lot of work to do. So how that looks, the structure, is it upfront, is it over? There's so many nuances to how a deal could come together, but we're confident that Tampa Bay wants to see us be successful. We want to be successful. I think everybody wants to deliver a championship team, and so this is going to be critical to doing that, and we look forward to working with Tampa Bay to get that done.
Fox 13's Evan Axelbank asking that question about what the kind of financing of a new stadium and ballpark would look like. We heard them, the owners, talk about the importance of developing revenue from the development of a mixed-use development, similar to what the Atlanta Braves have there. If you've ever seen a Braves game and experienced the Battery and the area surrounding the ballpark there. We're going to take another quick break here on Fox 35 News Plus. Still expecting to hear from the CFO any minute now, but we'll be right back.
and trying to make ends meet, they would get a knock on their door by me and...
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. Here is CFO Blaise Ingoglia speaking right now in Seminole County. Just walked up to the podium, highlighted some of the previous efforts and what they've uncovered. $944 million in what they believe to be wasteful and excessive spending in 5 localities across the state. Also talking about why he is here in Seminole County, making the statement that last week in Jacksonville when he held a news conference that he said any local government that raised property taxes this year will be getting a knock on the door from him. We know that Seminole County just recently voted to increase property taxes for the first time in 16 years. So let's go ahead and listen in as CFO Blaise Ingoglia speaks right now in Sanford.
0 cuts to service. Now, local governments are going to try to do anything and everything to try to convince you that they need every single dollar in order to fund government. They're going to list a parade of horribles, including long wait times when you call 911, not being able to hire fire and police, not being able to give government employees cost of living adjustment raises, and possibly even eliminating some government services whatsoever. They are going to try to make it as hard as possible for you to fathom that they could actually cut government and keep services at the same time. They're not being truthful with you. They're going to try to refute our numbers. We're seeing it right now. They're going to try to refute our numbers. They're going to have their big government apologists and opinion writers pen Sunday editorials, which we predicted, claiming the increase in their budgets is because of inflation and population growth. They can refute the numbers. They can try, but they can't. Because the numbers are the numbers, and we are pulling the numbers off of their own budgets. In fact, I think out of the 5 counties that we did so far, 3 of the either administrators or mayors or people on the Board of County Commission or the City Commission said that our numbers were incorrect. We actually had to tweet back at them and tag them in the post and say, hey, here are the numbers, straight from your budget. Obviously, they didn't like hearing that. But they're saying it's because of inflation and population growth. We staunchly disagree. I want you to take a look at this. We've been highlighting this because we had predicted this was going to happen. This is from a news report, Tampa Bay Times, and it says the increases are largely attributable to inflation and rising population, not government graft, local leaders say. We are here to call BS once again. Now, before we start unveiling the numbers, here's a little bit about our methodology and how we get to these numbers, because it is important for everyone to understand. And if you're a local government official or a bureaucrat, I want you to replay this over and over and over again, because you guys simply do not understand what excessive and wasteful spending is. So we'll go a little slow. So what we did was, and when we make these, and when you understand the methodology, you're going to understand how we can say that they can safely reduce property taxes. And if they're not, hopefully, after the presentation of numbers, you're going to see that they're being untruthful to you. All they want to do is keep their large, bloated budgets, their gravy train continuing to go. So what we did is we started off with the 2019-2020 year. That is a baseline budget that we are using, okay? We're doing that pre-COVID. So the first budget that was done before the explosion of government, with all of the money flowing into the state coffers and local coffers from the federal government. 2019 is what we use as the base budget. Then, like the local governments should be doing, they should be increasing their budget every year for inflation and population growth. So we started in 2019, 2020 fiscal year, and we increased it every year, indexing it for inflation and population up until the 24-25 budget, 5 years. So why is that important? That means in our numbers, when we calculated using the methodology that I'm going over here today, we included extra fire rescue people, because with an increased population, there is going to be more of a demand for more fire rescue. That makes sense. We added for population growth. We've also included extra law enforcement, police, sheriff's deputies in our numbers. We've already assumed for that because we are indexing for population growth. We included raises for law enforcement and general government employees also. Inflation. What they said they were going to do. We've indexed all that. We included extra money because of increased costs. So when local governments say, no, it's just an explosion of population or because of increased cost, to a certain degree they're right, but not the extent that they are overtaxing and overspending everyone and trying to give the impression that they need all of that money to fund that stuff. We've accounted for everything that a local government should or would need in order to deliver services to the taxpayers, and Seminole County, just like every other county and city, blew right past those numbers. Now, we've crunched the numbers. Once we did, in Seminole County still exceeded inflation and population, which would be a realistic budget, because when we did the numbers, indexing for inflation and population, we came up with the number what it should be, what the government general fund budget should be, realistically. Seminole County blew past that number. In our estimation, $48,445,800 $891. This is past accounting for growth in government with inflation, population. That is past hiring fire and police. This is the number that the county has spent over and above what we believe should be a reasonable budget in order to deliver services. Let's put it into a little bit of visual context for you guys. Here is your Seminole County budget. As you can see, we started off, just for some visual, the 2019-2020 actual budget. Once we index and increase the budget for inflation and population growth, we should be where the blue ends. Seminole County blew past it, and that was the actual spending. Overtaxing and overspending Seminole County residents by the tune of $48 million and change. Now, this is what we are terming excessive and wasteful spending, because they could have easily funded everything that they needed to do with the lower number. But what does that mean? Just like other local governments that I have talked about, we're going to break this down piece by piece so lay people can understand what this number means and why it is excessive. Since 2019, the Seminole County General Fund budget has increased $137 million. Now, that is a 46.7% increase in their budget in just 5 years. That's a big number. That huge increase was for a population growth of 25,338 people. So the question you have to ask is an extra 25,000 people in the county worth an increase of $137 million? Well, let's put this into perspective so everyone understands that just because population increases doesn't necessarily mean that government needs to grow at the level it is growing. Just because costs are costs. If inflation goes up, everyone's costs go up. Your costs go up as homeowners, government's costs go up. But just because you have more people moving into a city or a county does not mean that you have a blank check to grow government exponentially. There are things governments can do. They can automate things. They can introduce technology. You can have people more productive. You just don't go hire people for the sake of hiring people. It's unfortunate, but most governments that we come across, we see this. But let's put that number in context. The 25,338 people, that means for every person that moved into Seminole County over the last 5 years, the budget increased $5,402. For every family of 4 that moved into Seminole County, the budget increased for $21,608. That family of 4 number is the number I want you guys to concentrate on. Because when you have a new development, when somebody is building a brand new home, and you have a family of 4 move into the county, they're probably only paying maybe $5,000 a year in property taxes, which I would say is high. But the government is expanding by $21,608. That math does not math. I don't understand this. At the state level, our cost per unit is going down. But in local government, the cost unit is actually going up. So to recap, according to our calculations, Seminole, their current budget is $48.4 million higher than what it should be. Again, let's be clear, because the big government apologists and career tax and spend politicians are going to go out and say that they need every dime because of inflation and population. They're going to come out and they're going to make excuses, and some of these excuses, honestly, I have to laugh. I do. I have to laugh. Some of them are saying, yeah, but we hired police. Yep, we've accounted for that. Yeah, we hired fire. Yep, accounted for that. We have increased costs for inflation. Yeah, hired for that. My favorite is when they come out and say something like, we had to build new roads. That's not the general fund budget. We had to build fire stations. That's not the general fund budget. And you know why they say that? Because most people don't know that that's not part of the general fund budget. That's the total budget. The larger budget for the counties are much bigger than the general fund budget. We concern ourselves with the general fund budget because that is the portion that collects and expends property taxes. In addition, there's gas tax, there's sales tax, there's a portion of state sales tax, there's local option. All that stuff goes into the general fund budget. So, by our calculations, based upon that $48 million number, Seminole County government could have easily cut the millage rate by 0.81 mils and still delivered property tax relief and still paid for essential services. Now, that's all fine and dandy. It's 0.8 mils. Most people don't know what 0.8 mils does. They don't know how to calculate their property taxes, so we'll put it into context and perspective for them. If you had a taxable value on a home in Seminole County with our proposed cuts to property taxes, they would save $324 a year. If you had a taxable value of $500,000, you would save approximately $404 a year. If you had a taxable value of $600,000, you would save about $485 a year. Now, the first thing I want to say is that this is just the general fund portion of the budget. Local government, the school budgets, are wasting money also. And I will say this blanketly, every level of government, whether it is state, federal, local county commissions, local city councils, school boards, enterprise funds, every single level of government is wasting money and spending taxpayer dollars and fees obnoxiously. Now, those tax cuts, they are real money put back in the pockets of taxpayers. But here in Seminole County, the county commission didn't cut your taxes. They actually raised your taxes. They increased the millage rate from 4.8751 to 5.3751. In a time when people are hurting and want property tax reform, they gone out and voted to raise your taxes. Now, I understand that people are out there saying that this exercise is just a way to demonize big blue counties and cities. Last time I checked, there was 4 Republicans on the county commission here and 1 Democrat. Is it 5? Is it 5 and 2? It's 5, it's all 5. Spending knows no partisan boundaries. Republicans and Democrats are spending us into oblivion. We are seeing it at all levels of government. Now, the county commissioners claim that this was because of essential services. I think we just sort of proved that we've accounted for all of that. So again, we are calling BS. But here's the deal. Our spending numbers went from 2019 to 24-25. When you account for the raising of taxes that you just had here in Seminole County, the number goes from 48 million to 77 million. It's a much larger number. Local governments at all levels need to be held accountable and restrained when it comes to their spending. Here, they're actually making the situation worse. I promised to call them out. It wasn't a veiled threat. I told people I was going to protect the taxpayer every waking hour, every minute while I'm in this job. Now, when you add the $77 million on top of that, that means our office, through our FAFO initiative, have now breached the $1 billion mark of excessive and wasteful spending in just 6 counties here in the state of Florida. Quite honestly, I wish we didn't have to do this. I wish we did not have to go out and travel and crunch these numbers and call upon local governments once again to cut the wasteful, excessive spending. Let me show you this also. That number just got bigger. That number just got bigger. According to our calculations, we believe that you're being overtaxed and local government is overspending to the tune of $77 million. Governments are wasting money left and right, crying poor and then wanting more, and more money in the form of higher taxes. People have had enough. Your property taxes are going up not because of essential services, but because of excessive, wasteful spending by career politicians and bureaucrats who think you are an endless ATM for them. As your CFO, I will not stand idly by while Florida families are being taxed out of their homes. It is always good to remind them that it is not their money, it is our money.
State CFO Blaise Ingoglia speaking live right now in Seminole County. You heard him talk about $48 million in wasteful spending in the budget, but also saying that when you account for the recently passed property tax increase, that number goes up to $77 million. We're going to take a quick break here on Fox Local, but we'll be right back with more after this.
watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Weimer, and thanks for joining us on this Tuesday afternoon, live on Fox Local and on YouTube. It is a busy day, and we appreciate you spending time with us here on Fox Local. Want to give you a live look right now where we are awaiting the announcement of the new UFL football team coming to Orlando, the Orlando Storm. This announcement set for 12:30. We will bring that to you live when it does begin. Give you a live look inside the Oval Office right now. President Trump meeting with the Canadian Prime Minister. They are taking some questions right now. Also want to give you a live look inside the Senate Judiciary Committee. This is Cory Booker, a Democratic senator from New Jersey, who is asking some questions of the Attorney General Pam Bondi, who is testifying in this hearing today, an oversight hearing on the Department of Justice. And here is Florida State CFO Blaise Ingoglia speaking live right now in Seminole County, where he is talking about wasteful and excessive spending. This is the sixth stop he has made in the past few weeks, where he's given these kind of top-line numbers of the excessive and wasteful spending they believe they've uncovered through their DOGE audits. I'm talking today about $48 million in wasteful spending in Seminole County, but when you account for a tax increase that the commission just passed, he says that number goes up to $77 million. Let's go ahead and listen in as he continues to speak live right now in Sanford.
Did some local government employees lose their jobs? Yeah, probably. But you have to question where they needed in the first place, growing government. We've seen this game before. We're immune to the parlor tricks of local governments saying that they need all this money. We are here to make the case, and I think we've made it, that local governments can cut and keep us safe. And for those local governments that say that you are going to have to cut fire and police and we're going to devastate the communities, stop lying to the taxpayer. With that, I'd like to recognize Bob McClure from James Madison Institute to say a few words. Mr. McClure?
Thank you, CFO. Thank you for highlighting a major issue that is affecting all Floridians. Many of you don't know me. I'm Bob McClure, President and CEO of the James Madison Institute, which is Florida's oldest and largest think tank. And people ask what a think tank is. We're not a lobbying firm. We're not a contract research firm. We are focused on policies that advance limited government, free markets, and personal responsibility, and the protection of private property. And that is our role. We've been around since 1987, based in Tallahassee. When you talk about private property, the question becomes, as the CFO has said, do you ever really own your home if you're going to continue to pay property taxes every year? And not only that rhetorical question, the other component to that is you're paying taxes on unrealized gains. The CFO has shown how Seminole County has grown since 2019 in terms of its revenue and spending. But it's not limited to Seminole County. It's your friends and family members all across the state of Florida. On average, local municipality spending, when combined with inflation, has grown roughly 47% a year. So I would ask you in this room and all Floridians, is your life 50% better because of this government spending? The answer is no. Thomas Jefferson said it best. The tendency is for government to grow, which bids liberty to retreat. And that means that more bureaucrats, higher taxes, do not allow Floridians to chase their version of the American dream. And so the CFO and the governor are on the right track. Finally, I'll close with this. The James Madison Institute, Florida's state think tank, has done polling in the field for many, many years, and we just released a poll about a month ago. 75% of Floridians all across the state are worried about the cost of living. And first among those issues is the cost of housing, as the CFO said. 72% of Floridians want to completely eliminate property taxes or drastically reduce them. We can't get 72% of this country to agree that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. And yet we know what Floridians want. So this is an incredibly important role and an important opportunity for the state, not only to do the right thing by taxpayers so they have more money in their pocket to chase their version of the American dream, but as the CFO and the governor have done for many, many years, to be the first in the nation to lead the country on an issue as important as this. The entire country is watching. And when we get this right, and I believe we will, the rest of the country will follow. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So just to piggyback off of that, Florida leads the nation when it comes to a lot of these issues. Everyone looks, look, I was a legislator for 10, 11 years, and a lot of the stuff that we did in the state legislature, a lot of the bills that I quite frankly carried, I would get phone calls from people in other states saying, hey, do you have a copy of that legislation? Let's replicate it in Texas. Let's replicate it in Iowa. Let's replicate it in Arkansas. But there's a reason. It's because Florida leads on these issues. Everyone looks to Florida to see what they're doing. Could you imagine if the state of Florida had no personal income taxes and no property taxes on homestead exemption? You want to talk about generational wealth starting to be created here in the state of Florida? That's what we're talking about. Actually having people keep more of their own money and limiting the size and scope and the spending of government. That is a goal worth attaining. Now we'd like to call up Jesse Phillips, a small business owner in the IT space.
Thank you, Mr. Ingoglia, for this opportunity. I was really happy to hear you say that the addiction to spending is not a partisan issue. It certainly crosses the party lines, and I just wanted to speak to my city, hometown of Winter Springs. You know, we're facing these same issues there. He mentioned government officials crying about things. I've made some of my local municipal leaders cry because of the issues that we've highlighted there. You know, we have for the last 6 years had multiple state agencies investigating the various activities in the city there. And some of the things we have found is the same symptoms of a bloated payroll in Winter Springs, which is a purportedly Republican-run town. The payroll has grown from 7 to 8 million back in 2018 up to over 12 million today. That's a 60% increase, despite the fact that that does not include the one utility we run, the water, that doesn't include the now outsourced employees on that utility is not included in that payroll. We have seen how they've misused penny sales tax. Where they put it to the voters. There were certain things on the project list for the penny sales tax, including the maintenance of a couple of bridges in my neighborhood of Tuscaloosa. And those bridges failed during Hurricane Ian. We went back and found out why they had failed. They were not properly maintained. They took that money and instead used it on other pet projects. And as a result, those unmaintained bridges failed during that storm. Our budget overall was between 2018 and 2020. It was about $44 to $50 million then. Now it's $79 to $80 million. That's an 80% increase in the last 5 to 7 years. And we can go down the list of some of these things that we're seeing in a small town. This isn't just a big city problem. This is a small town problem as well. And as a resident of Seminole County, I'm glad that somebody is looking into this because these increases affect my bottom line. And we just opened a store in Winter Springs Town Center. And when our community is squeezed, we feel that squeeze in a second way as a small business owner as well. So I could not be more grateful to our CFO, Blaise Ingoglia, and his staff. Let's not forget that he can't do all of this without his staff helping him. They are doing the Lord's work, and every resident of Seminole County should be grateful, as I am, for the work that they're doing. So thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. So just to recap, we're not going away. We're going to continue beating this drum from now up until the time that we get actual property tax reform on the ballot in 2026. The governor is led on this issue. I am charging up the hill with the governor, and I'm doing it because it's important. You've heard the poll numbers. Housing affordability is a big issue here in the state of Florida. We in government can help deliver some of that affordable housing relief, not by subsidizing housing, but by actually cutting the cost of government. So with that, more than happy to take any questions y'all have. Yes, ma'am.
CFO Blaise Ingoglia speaking right now in Seminole County, talking about wasteful spending there. We've got to take another quick break here on Fox Local, but we'll get you right back here on the other side of this break. Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus, and bringing you some breaking news here. This is a video from a scene in Cocoa yesterday, a shooting outside the Anchor's Seafood and Chicken Restaurant on Clear Lake Road in Cocoa. The new details just into our newsroom in the last few minutes. A teenage girl has died after this shooting. We know 3 people were taken to the hospital. 2 male victims, they're expected to survive. Their names have not been released, but we did learn that 15-year-old Kariah Duncan of Cocoa, she was shot during that incident and later died of her injuries at the hospital. Now, this all happened around 4:30 yesterday. Deputies responded out there. This was a look at that scene. It's believed that the 3 victims were in a car in the parking lot of that restaurant when a dark-colored SUV pulled up behind them and blocked their exit. According to deputies, multiple people got out of that SUV, began shooting toward that other car, and the people inside it who were trying to get out. According to investigators, they're still trying to figure out the motive behind this, but they say that all indications are that the victims were targeted. But again, the sad update today, a 15-year-old girl dead after that shooting yesterday in Cocoa. Let's go ahead and get you back now to Seminole County, where the state CFO is speaking right now, talking about wasteful spending, answering some questions as well. Let's go ahead and listen back in while we wait on this announcement at 12:30 to hear from the new UFL team coming to Orlando.
When you listen to this at night, I want you to listen to me, and then I want you to listen to the people who just raised taxes on you, and then I want you to pull out your property tax bill. Then you're going to find out who's being truthful with you and who's not. Next question. Good question. Yeah, I'll explain it. So there are 2 things happening at the state level at the same time. There's DOGE, Florida DOGE, which is going in requesting all of the spending data, requesting emails, spending on things that, DEI related or related to Green New Deal, stuff like that. And they are looking for specific instances of egregious, wasteful spending that would probably make people's eyes roll in the back of their heads. That's when we see the money spent on a poet laureate program, $150,000 on a county teaching illegal immigrants how to evade ICE. That's the stuff that really gets people angry. What we're doing is our FAFO audits, which are separate and distinct, but they work together. While DOGE is looking for specific examples, we are looking at high-level spending trends to show you just how out of whack local governments are in relation to previous budgets and inflation and population. Does that make sense? So let me answer that question. Right now, we have very vast audit authority granted to me by the Florida Constitution to audit any entity, public or private, that is using taxpayer funds, right? And that's what we're doing right now. Now, at some point, I don't know, because DOGE is administratively housed inside the office of the governor. I have constitutional authority. I can tell you what I am planning on doing. We are planning on reorganizing our office so we can go and we can do these forensic audits, if you will, on local government to track everything going forward. So we are trying to institutionalize identifying waste, fraud, and abuse at the local government and then letting the taxpayers know what it's being spent on, because we believe that is what the taxpayers deserve. Yes? Of course. The $83 million, the one that I voted no on? Well, I was one vote on three. It was 3 against 1. I voted no on that for one of the reasons, obviously, was for the price. So I practice what I preach when it comes to this stuff. Yes, ma'am. The vote was taken, the vote was approved, and unfortunately, it's a settled issue. I voted no because, again, I practice what I preach, and that's what I can tell you. Yes, ma'am.
CFO Blaise Ingoglia still taking some questions. It appears this UFL event is getting ready to begin here shortly. So we want to go ahead and get a break in before it does. So we're going to step aside for a couple of minutes and we'll be right back after this.